Hello, Richard Walker with video number 8. In the last video we learned that the financial system we use, the bond system, was invented in Renaissance Italy, and it was invented to pay for war and organise the workforce. That's something to think about, something to really think deeply about, because Professor Ferguson says that this is the same system we use today. So how has this bond system evolved since the Renaissance? Fortunately, the professor gives a detailed description of that evolution. The Dutch made a giant leap forward when they combined the advantages of the city-state with the scale of a nation-state. They were able to finance their wars by developing Amsterdam as the market for a whole range of new securities. And their debt mountain grew high indeed. And investors had little fear of an outright Dutch default. Well, that's how Neil Ferguson describes it. If you dip into Das Kapital, you will find it put more bluntly. Karl Marx explains it this way. Thus, the villainies of the Venetian thieving system formed one of the secret bases of the capital wealth of Holland, to whom Venice, in her decadence, lent large sums of money. So also was it with Holland and England. By the beginning of the 18th century, the Dutch manufacturers were far outstripped. Holland had ceased to be the nation preponderant in commerce and industry. So this system, which was created in Venice, was improved upon by the Dutch. The Dutch system was improved upon again when it travelled to England with the glorious Revolution of 1688. The figurehead of that being William of Orange, who had been ruler of the Dutch Republic since 1672, a man who was educated in statecraft by Johann de Witt. Karl Marx says that de Witt thought that this system, which arose out of the bond system and the resultant national debt, and of course the huge taxation that ultimately paid for it all, was a system that worked very well indeed. De Witt described it as the best system for making the wage labourer submissive, frugal, industrious, and overburdened with labour. A single system that is designed for war and perpetual poverty, that provides the few with the ability to control the many. As Professor Ferguson said, the system worked well. This same system moved to England when William of Orange invaded in 1688. In 1694, the Bank of England was created. Ferguson says it was designed primarily to assist the government with war finance, just as the Italian bond market was created to fund the wars of the Renaissance. And just as in Italy, an oligarchical power structure gave the bond market a firm political foundation. In 1694, King William III, backed by his ruling elite, who ran the government, granted a royal charter to the Company of the Bank of England. It was a private company whose shareholders included the king, government ministers, bankers, merchants, and the aristocracy. The charter granted them the monopoly right to supply the British government with money in the form of debt. Just as in those Renaissance Italian city-states, the British oligarchy forced themselves to lend money to the government which the British oligarchy ran. The government issued bonds, pieces of paper, which were promises to pay, to the Bank of England, who exchanged them for money, which were pieces of paper which were promises to pay. Here was where they improved on the Italian system. The 5% interest was dropped. They agreed that they were worth more, so they forced themselves to accept 8% interest per annum. At the same time, they covered their running costs with a £4,000 a year service charge. Of course, no real business had been created in this process of alchemy, but somebody had to pay. Fortunately, the 99% who laboured in this sceptred isle were as compliant as the Italian peasantry, and over the centuries that followed, the wage labourer became ever more submissive, frugal, industrious, and overburdened with labour, until finally everyone saw that production levels long ago outstripped natural demand, and so we could all celebrate the fact that increased production can only take place if those who have charge of production pay others to create artificial demand, which justifies some extra production, which raises the money to pay to create more demand, and so on. Well, it's an interesting thought, but back to Professor Ferguson. The man who more than any became master of this game was Nathan Rothschild. His father, Mayer Amschel Rothschild, successfully ran the family money lending firm in Frankfurt beneath the sign of the Red Shield, or the Rot Shield. The family dropped the name Bauer and adopted the Red Shield to become the House of Rothschild Rothschild. Mayer improved his volume and profitability of loans by providing credit to the princes of Europe, while he trained up his 5 sons. The 5 arrows were then fired out to the important trading cities of Europe. The most dynamic son, Nathan, was sent to England to organise their trading in Manchester, before moving to London to become what Ferguson calls the master of the bond market, a financial Bonaparte, who became the master of European politics. It was, of course, fortunate for the Rothschild family that a Napoleon existed. As Professor Ferguson explained when he described the birth of this bond system in Italy, war becomes highly profitable for those operating the system. And Ferguson explains how Nathan organised a very efficient network of agents and was able to smuggle gold out of England to the continent. And of course, unlike any other London bank, he had the perfect European contacts. His brothers ran banking operations in Naples, Vienna, Frankfurt, and most importantly, in that war against France, his brother Jacob was running things in Paris. As we will see in the next video, the brothers were very successful. I hope you'll watch video number 9. Thank you for watching this one. Please click like, subscribe, and tell your friends. Thank you.